Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Real Talks. And good evening for all those on the East Coast. Um, Welcome to Real Talks. I hope everybody's having a great day. So, today, um, so just to let everybody know, Kyle and I did a rewatch of Creed the other day on Tuesday. And today, he already did, and I just sat down and watched Creed 2, the sequel to the 2015 film. This was made in 2018. And I gotta say, all in all, I liked it. Um, I really, really enjoyed it. Um, a lot of parallels. Um, Made me even for a small while, actually, made me even think that Ryan Coogler directed it. I mean, it was that good to in certain parts. Um, I enjoyed it though a lot. Was it a step down from the original? No, I would say it's just as good. Um, so it was it as emotional as the original? No, definitely not. The first one, you can't get by what they did and Ryan Coogler and how they did it. Um, it was really good. Um, so this was what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm gonna run through a couple of the basics and story, actor, director, so on and so forth, and I'm gonna get into really the nitty gritty of what I liked about it. Um, so as I said, this was done in 2018. This was directed by Stephen Cabell Jr. and uh, apologies if I mispronounce his name. He's actually um, he's actually done well. I mean, Creed 2 is his biggest. He's done shorts. He's done TV series. So Creed 2, I would say for what it is, it's his I won't say ambitious, but it's his definitely his biggest project. So this was um, this came out right in Thanksgiving a couple years ago, just like Creed did in 2015. And this only had, I say only because this is a small production in and of itself, a $50 million budget. Now, it's not a lot in the grand scheme of things. Um, just that's what it was. So it was $50 million. And it ended up making, okay, this is interesting. It ended up making almost $215 million worldwide. Um, it made $35 million $35.5 million opening weekend. Did really, really well for its time. Um, so yeah, I mean, this was written by Sylvester Stallone had definitely a part of this, and I believe even so yeah, I mean, Ryan Coogler helped with the characters, and so I mean, that you could definitely tell that Coogler's hand was definitely in this. So for the better. Um, so let me just quickly brush over the story. So this is the continuation of Adonis Creed, um, and so many years have gone by since, or some time has gone by since the events of Creed. Okay. And you can go back and watch that what happened or rewatch the Creed in the other stream. Nonetheless, so some time has gone by, and it's really so we pick up with Adonis and uh, his then girlfriend, okay, Bianca, played by Tessa Thompson. Which, by the way, let's talk about the cast here. Another big cast. I mean, really, everybody's coming back, and now you're gonna have a couple surprises, right? So Rocky's coming back. You got Tessa Thompson coming back, and now you have Viktor Drago or Ivan Drago. So Dolph Lundgren is going to make plays a pivotal role in this, and that comes into play a little later on. Um, Felicia Rashad. What else can you say about it? She's coming back as playing Adonis's mother, and really, really good stuff. So, as I said, this takes place some years after, and um, when the movie opens, we are watching Ivan and Victor and train, and they're in Russia and everything else. So, okay, so let's fast forward. Um, so, at this point, Adonis is the champion. And so early on, he wins the belt and he becomes heavyweight champion of the world. And all the great things are happening, right? So it's one of those things where I was kind of curious to see where it went. Um, so we see Drago's son being trained. And then um, that first boxing sequence. So I'm going to jump right into it. Um, the first boxing sequence between Adonis and the challenger done really, really, really well. With the 360s, the point of views, everything done really well. So it's a good life. So Adonis wants to propose to Bianca. So he does, and she says yes, and now they're going to be married. Um, so meanwhile, there is a third wheel here, and that's Buddy. Buddy is the promoter, and he is trying to get Ivan Drago's son Victor and Adonis in the main event. Big fight, big money fight. Okay. So he goes to both places, says, "Hey, look, it's on." So the Dragos come to Philly at this point, and so Rocky comes into Adrian's, which I haven't seen it, but that's the restaurant that he has in Philadelphia. And the maitre d' says, "There's somebody here to see you." And it's interesting because you sit back when we see Ivan the first time, his back is to us, and he's wearing a red, like blazer type of thing, coat. And so at this point, this is one of the first correlations, if you will. So now Bianca and Adonis go out to some Philly steak shop, and now you see them eating. This is where Victor makes a challenge, and Bianca just tries to shrug him off. Um, and then the cross cutting between Adonis and Bianca and Rocky and Ivan, done really well. Talking in the restaurants, talking about how his son is going to, as he break him, and what he couldn't do to Rocky, right? And so we go on, and the lighting in this scene actually was really good. So when they both stand up, I mean, Rocky says something, what we do here in Philly is knock the strays out. Basically, you see the half light and the half dark on each one of their faces. So, I mean, you could take that as a sign. And this is that scene. It's one of those things where it's just it's two legendary actors, and it's powerful. And it's okay. We had our battles, but now we're going head to head again, and this time it's our sons. Not let me be clear here. Rocky and Adonis they definitely have a father-son relationship because, of course, Apollo is, uh, Adonis's father, and he's no longer with us. So you're having that father-son bond, and then, of course, between Ivan and Victor. But basically, he says that, you know, um, that this is what we do. We take out the trash, so to speak. So you see the half light, half dark on each one of their faces, which was incredible. Um, and then, so at this point, Adonis is going to be like, I'm going to take the fight. I'm going to take the fight and make this guy pay. And so throughout the whole thing, what ends up happening is that even at the weigh-in, okay, you know, Ivan makes a couple of snide comments. I think he says something like, "Oh, you're shorter than your father was," and so riles him up. And so we move on in the picture, and I found it interesting that the fight was in the beginning of Act Two. I'm like, that's strange. Why are they going to have it this early unless they're going to fight again? And so Adonis just gets the absolute crap kicked out of him. And Stallone said it when he was doing the Rocky films. He said, we waited until we were done with most of the production to do the fights because you can't, they know when you're pulling punches. And he got the ever-living daylight beat out of him. And so it was one of those. So what ended up happening was Drago's son got DQ'd because he hit him after the bell. So now it's tenuous and, so they go. Bianca was basically saying to Adonis, hey, look, I want to move out to LA. That's where everything is, Now, there is one caveat here that I haven't made mention yet. Bianca finds out she's pregnant. And so Adonis is like, oh, wow. And he didn't know how to handle fatherhood. Slowly he starts to be able to handle it. And so he goes out and just one of those awkward moments, so they're sitting around the dinner table and she's like, yeah, I got signed. She's like, congratulations. And Adonis wants to say something. And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot to say that, And so eventually they get alone time. And he's like, look, I'm going to take the fight. She's like, okay. And she completely brushes him off. And he says, that's it? He's like, yeah, that's it. Don't pretend that this is about your father. This is about you. Take the fight if you want. That's fine with me. So at that point, she's in his corner, but she's very dismissive about it. Nonetheless, that was the comedy there, though, was hilarious. It's one of those things where it's like an awkward date, you don't know what to say next. So the fight's in Act 2. Like I said, that first fight's in Act 2. And the couple of things I really liked about it was the entrance by Adonis. I thought was fantastic. One of the best you'll see all movie long and just in general. So this is, right after it was really good. So, and then once we get in the ring, which this is just a personal thing, that 360-degree turn. So when he gets in the ring, that 360-degree turn, and we end behind him. Loved it. It was almost as good as some of the POV shots that we got during the fight. Really, really good stuff. So while all this is happening, so he gets beat up pretty bad. And it's one of those things where Bianca has to figure out, what to do and how to do it. She's pregnant. They're going to be expecting. And Rocky basically beforehand had said, listen, I don't want you taking the fight because of this, this, and this. And he basically says, you don't think I can beat him, do you? And he said, it's not about that. You have more to lose. The other thing that really struck me about this movie, and I mean, it was very good, it was the correlation between the father and the son. Like I said, Rocky, who had been all through this, okay, and Adonis. And then on the other side of the coin, you had Viktor and you had Ivan. So it was really a story at the end of the day about two fathers and two sons coming to grips, um, and not liking each other. You know, um, I would, they would have probably done it again if they could have, character wise. Um, but it's one of those things where they just didn't like each other. And as I said, that became very apparent in this scene here. When they were talking, I mean, even the look on Drago's face is like, you know, and it's just one of those things where, so over the course, so the other thing I would say, so that's one key element. Okay, you have a father-son bond. The other main element that I found to be striking was redemption, right? Because if you look at all four of their arcs, okay, Victor's, Adonis's, Ivan's, and Rocky's, it's all about redemption. Because Adonis wants to redeem his father, okay? He feels like he needs to hold his name up to what it was. I am Adonis Creed, and I am the son of Apollo Creed, former heavyweight champion of the world. Viktor wants to please his father. Okay? Rocky has to redeem himself because he even said it in that scene, which, by the way, was beautifully lit on the street. One street light. Okay? One street light. That was it. When he comes down, they walk down the stairs. One street light in a span of I don't know, 5, 6, 7 feet window. That one light. That's it. And they were able to do that whole scene. Fantastically done. Just in general. But getting back to this, okay, so Rocky wants to redeem himself because of Apollo, and Ivan wants to redeem himself because of the loss to Rocky. So, as I said, the two big elements that I saw were redemption and fatherhood and father-son relationships. And this is where it comes into play because what ends up happening is Adonis is going to become a father. And so there's a scene where Bianca wants to go out and go to the studio, and the baby's crying and crying and crying and crying. And so he doesn't know what to do. He calls his mother. He's trying to, do whatever, and finally ends up going to the gym and starting to punch the bag. And that starts to really calm the baby down. And it was funny that he says, he picks up the little girl and says, Daddy's being a bitch right now. I mean, but nonetheless, he's starting to, regain himself. And the other thing, too, is, so Bianca had said, it could be hereditary, right? And because she is going deaf. So she has, in the very beginning of the film, one of the few shots when we see the first fight is she's putting in her hearing aid. And so then, she's like, it could be hereditary, right? And so, once the baby's born, they start running some tests, and it's found out that the baby can't hear anything. And you see, so at this point, it's one of those things where this is something, and Rocky even says to him, what are you going to do? He's like, I don't want to think like that. He's like, but you have to. So, this is a scene here where basically this is after the gym scene, and the baby's at peace, and he's at peace, and he basically, at this point in the film, if he didn't choose an opponent, he was going to forfeit the belt. And basically he says to Bianca, I'm going to fight him again. And she says, okay, but you better win. But he says that, your baby's a fighter, I'm a fighter, and mom's a fighter too. And so it's like, okay, now she's all in. She's all in on his team and ready to go. This is the kind of moment where it's not only tender because he's now discovered he's a father, he can actually do it, but he has the love of his life by his side. Good stuff. Really, really good stuff. So now he is going to be a father. And so it's going to be interesting to see tonight. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go tonight. Kyle is probably almost there. The show is almost going to start. He's going to see not Rocky. I'm sorry. I got Rocky on my brain. Creed 3. So we are going to be back here Saturday to watch and do a spoiler cast. I'm going tonight myself to see Creed 3 in IMAX. I can't wait. And we are going to do a spoiler cast on Saturday. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, getting back to the scene. So this is when Act 3 is really starting. And so Rocky decides to train him. And so, you have the whole montage. As I said, the big correlation. So when the fight happens, so there's that fantastic montage between both Adonis and Viktor. You have the whole sports montage training, real Rocky, the film Rocky really put that out there, and that's one of the first, not the only sports film, but one of the first films to really do that. Anyways, so now the fight's going to happen. And now it's, all this training that Adonis has gone through to survive and to try and beat this guy. And so, yeah, it's a couple things I found in the fight that were great. By the way, I got to say the introductions. The introductions for Adonis were fantastic. Loved them. That light swirling around and then it goes down, and then you start to hear Bianca sing. I went, oh, nice. Very, very nice. So that was cool. That was really cool. And as I said, this is one of the introductions here. And you see, the light show, so to speak. And it's just really, really well done. This is the first fight. So Bianca is actually singing in front of him. And as she ends the last lyric, she goes to take her seat. And then a fight happens, and the fight occurs. And, it's one of those things where it's back and forth, back and forth. And, it's just really well shot. Really, really, really well shot. The coordination, just trying to coordinate one of those fights. And those guys, I would imagine, if I could ask Stephen Capel that, are those guys actually boxing? I would imagine so, right? No, whatever happens, happens. It's a one take type of thing. Camera work's just unbelievable with this. And I'm really curious to see how Michael B. Jordan accompanies that with, what it is tonight. But it's just, this is a really good film. And so the other thing I noticed too was Drago throwing in the towel. So the whole thing that he wanted was to impress the Russian boxing academy, if you will. And we even get a cameo by Bridget Nelson. which I thought was interesting. And that was the whole thing. Well, that's why she left. And that was their motivation. And so we get a cameo by her, and yeah, so he throws in the towel at the end of the fight, which anybody who's seen Rocky 4, spoiler alert, Rocky does not throw in the towel to save Apollo. So you're getting the correlation there, okay, the juxtaposition, and Drago is actually doing it for his son, to save his son. And okay, so it's one of those things, and you start to see as Adonis is really starting to pick up speed, he gets knocked down. That was another cool point, by the way. Viktor just pops him a couple times, and then he goes down. And, he starts punching the canvas. He gets back up, and the referee says, "What's your name?" And he said, "Creed." He's like, "What's your name?" "Creed." And then he just goes to town on Viktor. So that was a really cool, moment there. So yeah, Drago throws in the towel to save his son, and basically comes to the up until all the way up until that point, he was very hard on his son. Go out there and break him and do all this stuff, and eventually he's like, "It's okay. Don't worry about it. You did the best you could." And so, yeah, and then so at the very end, this is what I would say the big emotional thing that got me throughout the whole movie. Rocky had been talking about his grandson and how he had never connected with his grandson. And when they're in the hospital, he's about to call him, and he stops. At the end of the film, one of the great things that he did, okay, was he had Rocky at the door of his grandson to meet Logan. And then Apollo walks up to his father's grave. And by the way, that was another really poignant shot. It's when Rocky's just sitting there talking to Adrian about what's going on. Anyways, Adonis walks up to um, Apollo, his father's grave, and basically says, "I don't know how this is supposed to go. Mom's doing okay. You know, um, Bianca's doing okay. We're fine. I wanted to let you know I did it. I did it for me. I did it for us. I didn't do it for you. I did it for me. Not in a selfish way, but I needed to redeem myself. Nonetheless, um, it was one of those things where, yeah, it was one of those things where now you get the introduction. So Rocky is he is knocking on the door of his grandson's home, and he meets Logan, and and then Adonis walks, or Bianca walks over with his daughter and his granddaughter, and says, "I'm a father now," and let you know that you be proud, and all that. And it was a really cool moment. And one of them, Adonis had the little girl, and then of course Rocky had Logan. But it was a good solid entry. And which leads me to a couple of questions. Number one, this is going to be Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut. How is he going to do? All indications say, from all of the reviews I've read, amazing. Absolutely amazing. So it's one of those things where you go, okay, um, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be really good. I do. I do. I really think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be more emotional than what it is right now. And I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think that it's. I think Michael B. Jordan's going to do a great job. I really do. And so we'll see what happens. The boxing sequences, from what I understand, are amazing. They're top-notch stuff. And I can't wait to see those. And I've said it before. If Jonathan Majors is even half of what he is going to be, look out. Because this guy is going to he's going to be incredible. This is going to be a really, really good movie. I have no doubt in my mind. Obviously, he's going to win the box office. I'm curious to see if they're going to, want him back. Now, the other thing, too, is this. This is going to be the first film without Sylvester Stallone, right? So how do they play that into, how do they write that in, right? And is that going to play a factor? I hope not. I don't think so, but we'll see. Yeah, and that's it. I mean, but like I said, overall, I think it was really good. They did a really good job of everything. So Michael is going to have a great time with this. He had a great time with this. I can't wait to see where they go from here. But yeah, that's Creed 2, guys. That's Creed 2 in a nutshell. And it was good. Good, not great. It's always hard to make a sequel. I've said it plenty of times before. Yeah, so that's about it. So, anyways, let me just quickly wrap this up. So I put out an update video out this morning. Just basically detailing what's going to be coming up in the channel in the coming days and months and weeks and all that good stuff. Kyle and I were going to be doing the spoiler cast, as I keep repeating, on Creed 3 on Saturday. Don't forget, Sunday, we have The Last of Us stream with Tyler and Kyle and Destiny and myself. That will be episode number 8. We're nearing the end there. We are nearing the end. And that's always fun. And I'm gonna be very interested to see if they, when I say they, I mean HBO Max, they move the finale for the Super Bowl, because it is on the same day. So, a couple quick reminders. As I said, The Last of Us, okay? We got Creed 3 this weekend. These are all spoiler cast, guys. Okay? Then we got Guardians coming out on the 5th of May. Now, mind you, the reason why I'm not doing John Wick, and because we have other stuff, right? We've got the perfect movies. We've got the weekly roundup. We've got the first reaction. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. But these, what I'm telling you right here, are all going to be spoiler casts. So we have Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We have Across the Spider-Verse, which, by the way, I have to watch the first one, and I will watch the first one in May. So you'll be getting the first one of these as the first reaction video. So that way I can go in fresh for June. The 9th, we're going to have Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. We'll be doing that. The 16th, I think, is probably one of the, if not one of the top 2 most anticipated films of the year, in The Flash. This finally comes out after 3 long years of this being mired in controversy. Then at the end of the month, we've got Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I've said it every time, I just don't like the name, but that's what they're going with. $297 million budget. Yeah, so that's going to be a fun time. This is going to be the biggest movie of the year. I think hands down. If you're going to go see one movie this year, right, this is the one you need to go see. Only one. This is the one you need to go see. And that's Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Because this is going to be huge. I mean, big, big, big. And I mean, everybody knows Tom Cruise. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's going to be a big movie because, A, of the success of um, Top Gun Maverick. B, he likes to do everything practical, as much as he can practical. C, it's the last one of the year. Or not the year, but last one in the franchise. And you can see that because it says Part 1. So whenever you see a Part 1, whether it's, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows or, you know, um, Hunger Games or whatever it is, what ends up happening is Part 1 is, you can tell. And even if I've watched the trailer like 4 or 5 times. The villain from the very first one is coming back. So that tells you they're doing it full circle. Yeah, it's going to be huge. Oppenheimer, which is coming out the next week. Now, not listed there, okay, is Barbie. Barbie is coming out the same day as Oppenheimer. This is going to be, this is Christopher Nolan. And if you know anything about films and Christopher Nolan and what he's done, that's going to be a big movie. This is going to be a very fascinating season because you're going to have 6 or 7 movies all fighting for the almighty dollar. Whether it is Guardians of the Galaxy, whether it is, Across the Spider-Verse, whether it is Transformers, this is going to be a huge summer. And we went back and we did a piece on this. Variety said, according to Variety and insiders and pundits, this could be an $8 to $9 billion box office this year. A lot of these movies are going to make $700, $800, $900 million. A lot of them probably going to hit $1 billion. Now, mind you, it's interesting because when you look at the grand scheme of things, the last time there was a $13 billion box office was 2019, and that was for Endgame. So we're not all the way back, but this box office is definitely going to have a lot to do with it. And don't forget, guys, not only do we have all these spoiler casts coming your way, but we do have Mandalorian. So the Mandalorian it was a premiere episode last Wednesday. We're going to be doing that. Stay tuned for that. Yeah, we have so much stuff coming your way this 2023. So if I could just ask one thing, everybody that's popped in here or that stayed in here or whatever, please hit that like and subscribe button, guys, because that's the only way this content gets out to the masses and everybody. And that's what I want. I want everybody to see this. It's free. You can't, and you're getting, not only are you getting all these spoiler casts, not only are you going to get all this TV stuff, but you're getting the perfect movies, right? You're getting movies like Heat, Captain America Winter Soldier, Silence of the Lambs, Spotlight, The Social Network, Black Panther. We're going to be going through one by one every single month. You're going to get the first reaction videos. I did an update video today about it. You're going to be getting 2 first reaction videos this month. You're going to be getting Fargo, and you're going to be getting another one so we can catch up. And then every other month, you're going to be getting 1 first reaction video. So you're going to be getting so much stuff for free. You can't beat it. This is better than like Netflix. But seriously, guys, yeah, thank you very much for, coming in, even for a few minutes and watching. But as I said, please hit the like and subscribe button. And that's about it. So I will go see it tonight. As I said, Creed 3. I'm probably going to be doing a show tomorrow. And, either that and you're going to have the roundup coming up. So I will definitely be doing a show tomorrow. Well, that will be the roundup. And then you'll be getting some, tidbits on that. And then, yeah. So that's about it. Um, so do the three things we always need to do: be careful, be safe, and take care of yourself. I'm David Steele, and you have been watching Real Talks. Bye bye, guys.